Massive number of people have been upgrading. Yes.
There you go. You see the graceful limb that you were talking about before.
The race we've got yet again, and a victor then goes victory to an American, Andy Hampton.
The felt it go by. He looks at the Colombian rider. How are you doing?
Straight past Santiago Patero, and he's coming up to Pantani.
Well, Armstrong is sitting in the last few hundred metres as we come towards the finish of this monumental stage. And Armstrong,
as we start to approach the line now, Pantani grits his teeth and accelerates and over the line.
Is going now to win stage number 15. Sepp Kuss, an emotional finish from Durango in the USA. Sepp Kuss wins.
Welcome back, or if this is your first time here, welcome the first time. Between Two Wheels podcast, Tyler Yonke. We're doing stage 12. Look, people, there's been so many questions leading up to this point in the Tour de France. We haven't got all the answers, but today we got a lot of answers. Prior to this, we didn't have all the answers. We get some answers today. Although, is the race over? Look, it's stage 12. Is the race over? No, we're only halfway through. We've still got, 10 stages left to go? 21 in total. We are still working our way through this, but we are down. Today we hit the high mountains, the real high mountains, the big ore category climb that's they can't even categorize it so much. Here's where we are, down here in the Pyrenees, southwestern portion of France, right next to Spain, Hautacam. It's Auch to Hautacam, stage 12, looking nasty. We've got 180.6 kilometers on the day. We've got a Cat 4 early on. That's about 80 some kilometers into the stage. And then we've got a sprint, intermediate sprint here at 94. And then we hit the Cat 1, the Col du Solaire, 11.8 kilometers at 7.6%. 3.3 kilometers at 8.1% for the Cat 2 Col des Bordes, and then Hautacam. It's just Hautacam, 13.5 kilometers at 7.9%. We've got some doozies on this one, some nasty little spots here coming in here. And what are we going to do? We've had some history in this race, Hautacam. I wanted to, let me see here. I think I may actually have, there we go. So I don't want to spoil it. We'll come back to this, but going into this race, the biggest, maybe I could do this. I think I can actually, I'm gonna screw this up just a tad bit here. Let's see if we can do this. There we go. Coming, where'd it go? There we go. Coming into this race, these were the fastest times of Hautacam, okay? Jonas Vingegaard, 36:35 in 2022. Vincenzo Nibali, 2014, 37:23. 37:30 by Leonardo Pipoli in 2008. Lance Armstrong, a 36:20 in 2000. Luc Leblanc, 35:19 in 1999, and a 34:38 by Bjarne Riis in 1996. Someone said he did 60% of the climb, but he also did the climb at 60 hematocrit. Okay, he was known as Mr. 60. Blood doping through the nose. Okay, well, probably through the ass of the arm on this occasion. So what's interesting is technology has changed. Cycling has changed. And when you see some of these numbers back here of, 1996, 34:38, I mean, his bike was heavy. Bjarne Riis, that's an amazing number. Luc Leblanc here in 1994 at 35:19. Okay, Jonas Vingegaard, this is more in the modern era, and he's a little guy at 36. Bjarne Riis was a big guy until he really started doping, losing his hair. He was not considered a climber at all. Okay, he comes into this in 1996. and wins the thing. Now, it was a shortened stage on that day, I believe, because of some weather. But you know, it was. So you look at the doper types: Luke LeBlanc, Bjarne Riis, Lance Armstrong. I don't know if Pippoli was. You know, it's kind of in that era. Nibali is a little bit more legit. Okay, but Victor's here. Thank you, Victor. Hi, Between Two Wheels. Hi, Victor. So I just setting the stage here, and you know, is Tadej doping? I don't know. I think things have changed so much with technology. Technology as far as how the riders are as well. Their training is much different than when I was even doing it with Lance and all these other guys. And so I want to believe, and I'm just going to throw it out there that I just don't. Whether they are or not, I don't know. We're not going to have that conversation today because it takes away from what we're trying to do with the race. I'm not going to, you know, if they get popped at some point later on in their career, it'd be like, okay, well, it makes sense. But you never know. So I don't know. We're going to keep moving on from that thing. So today's race, though, a lot of climbing to be had. And let me just make sure I can still do this thing. Sorry, folks. Window capture. Okay. I think we're good to go on that one. All right. So today was an interesting stage. And so what are some questions you have? First of all, coming into the tour, and we've seen this, you got to go back to a few years when Primož Roglič and Jonas Vingegaard were able to, when Jonas was actually able to win the tour, and how that happened over Tadej. Tadej had like one bad day. Col de la Loze, we saw that 2 years ago. We saw that on the what was the other their stage? I don't remember which one it was, but it was like stage 9 of the tour where he and Roglič and Jonas just 1-2'd, and so Tadej's had some bad days. Okay, we've seen that. That's how Jonas has been able to win, but since then, I think Tadej has come to learn how to fix those things. So you haven't seen him having problems last 2 years, in the Giro last year, where he destroyed everybody by 10 minutes. Could have done it by more. So I think he's fixed that. But Visma is in the mindset of, oh, he has bad days later on in the tour. We're going to work him down, and then we're going to take advantage of this. Okay, that may work. It hasn't worked in the last few times. Matter of fact, he's worked you. So it is interesting. So when you see that, what you don't want to do is, even if that is the case, what you don't want to do is give him and his team any help. Okay, so what I've said early on is, don't race with him. If you're off in a break, we've seen this with Jonas. He's been pretty good about it. But then lately, you've seen riders like in the classics, they'll get off the front with Tadej and they'll work. And it's like, dude, he's going to smoke you. So stop it. Make him do it. Tire him out. Don't work with the world #1, maybe the greatest rider of all time. Don't work with him. Or don't do the work of his team. And there you go. So with that setup, we are going to kind of just go along here. There's a profile on the day. Back up again. I want to thank you, Victor, for liking the show, the episode. Once again, I want to talk about some of the questions. So we've seen Visma do this chaos. They're like going full bore. We saw this 2019. Julian Alaphilippe gets the yellow jersey, and he's making the race fun. He's attacking, getting points here, and we've seen that with Tadej as well when he was having trouble of over racing. I think early on, just to get little points, little wins, and big wins, obviously. But not like time wins. Just sprint up a little climb, beats Roglič and Wout as an example, and I think that wore him down. Okay. So we've seen Visma now kind of trying to force him into doing that. But when you're forcing him into doing that, Tadej into doing that, you're also depleting your own team. So was this going to come back to bite them? Then we had the questions of the team. Okay, João Almeida's not here. He's a big help for Tadej. So that's kind of one thing out of the window. And his team has looked a little bit more suspect. But with that in mind, Tadej can neutralize that by attacking, 60 kilometers, 80 kilometers out, which we've seen him do on Strada Bianca as an example. So, he can neutralize those situations. And then is the Americans, Sepp Kuss and Jorgensen, going to come into play? Are they going to be, because you've seen this over and over and over prior to this, where Sepp Kuss is up there. He's one of the last ones. You know, sometimes it's been just he and Tadej and Jonas, or he and Roglic and whomever the Roglic is racing. Or it's been, you know, more recently, it was Tadej and Adam Yates and Jonas and Sepp Kuss. And those guys are attacking, and then they're kind of coming back. And then either Adam or Jonas or Sepp would still be in contact, and they would respond, and they would help sew these little attacks together for their team leader until they were able to take it. That's very important, okay? And you've seen this recently where Jonas is getting blitzed off of Tadej's wheel, and he starts doing the look around. He didn't have to, when he didn't look around before, because Sepp was there. Sepp was there to kind of follow along or be right behind. If he dropped off, Sepp would, boom, step in and start doing the work, the relaying, and pulling him back and sewing things together. That's been missing. That's been sorely missing, and I don't know if it's the way the team has been riding. Sepp has obviously not been at his highest. Last year you had Jorgensen, who was kind of helping this out. So these are the questions we had going into stage 12. And I'm sorry if the questions themselves lead to the answers of the spoilers, but here we go. We're going to walk through this. This thing starts out right away, and there turns into a breakaway of about 50 riders, okay? Skilmos is maybe one of the higher ranked ones up there. Carlos Rodriguez for Ineos. Ineos had a good contingent up there, but then you had a litany of like Mike Woods, some Bahrain riders, Wellens is up there, Tish Benut is up there, and I think those were like your satellite type of things you had. I've been trying to look through a list here to see exactly who was up there. I'm not finding it at all, but we could kind of get to it from some of the early on. Lawrence Rex was up there. Matthew Van Der Poel was up there for a while. Thibaut Nies was up there for a little trek. He then was called to come back and I think help Jonathan Milan, because they wanted to make sure he gets through the time. Anthony Turgis, Edward Toynes, Lawrence Pithy, it was his birthday today, by the way, Matteo Trentin, Tobias Foss, Tish Benut, Alexei Lutsenko, Harold Tejada, Tim Wellens, Thomas Gatchignard, Michael Woods, Skilmos, like I said, Bruno Amarai, Michael Storer, Ainer Rubio, Ariane Parapente of Decathlon. Anybody else I'm missing in here? It looks like that's the majority of the riders that were up there in that move early on. So the break gets away, and then remember we have and early on we have the Cat 2 right away. It's about halfway through the race, from about 50 or so kilometers to go, is the big Col du Soleil. Now coming into that, you start to see Uno X is riding on the front. Why? Why are these teams helping? As a matter of fact, after the finish, the winner, I'm not going to say who it was, spoiler, it's Tadej, so I'm going to say, he thanks Uno X and EF for the work that they did. Yeah, Uno X, you got a guy, you're trying to defend 10th place, you won the day yesterday, and you are working on the front. Why? I don't know. And it's just like, maybe UAE said, we'll throw you some dollars if you do this. Then EF is on the front. Now, okay, there's an excuse, at least for them. EF, they have Ben Healy in the yellow jersey. But you're not obligated to, and I guess they thought that he was going to have a stellar day today. And it's like, I don't know, he's been jackrabbiting off the front, doing a lot of work. Now he needs to suddenly conserve, and the whole team is going to rally. But they don't need to, they can rally without having to get on the front and try to up the pace. Who cares about this breakaway? There was no one up there that was really going to, you needed to be worried about. Carlos Rodriguez, he's not been doing so good, okay? Let's not really worry ourselves when he keeps getting, I know he's only 5 minutes back, but he hasn't, done it. Skilmos, he's like, 10 minutes? I just don't think EF needed to do anything to help out. So we hit the Col du Soleil. Now Visma Leasebike comes to the front, and they start ripping the pace up. Tish Benut actually gets called out of the breakaway. He's coming back. He's not going to connect to them yet. But it's Campenarts on the front. Campenarts is there. He starts going good. Then immediately you have Sepp Kuss. But then as Sepp Kuss starts to take over, at the same time, Ben Healy's coming out. Before that, you had Remco Evenepoel coming off the front here, off the back, 54 kilometers. He's already getting spit out the back of this climb. And you're like, Okay, this reminds me of the Tour de France, his first one, where he loses a ton of time, or the Vuelta, when Sepp won, where he lost a ton of time, and then he's just going for stage wins. And I'm like, okay, that's where we are. That's where we are with it. But he continues to ride, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But why is Visma, why are they pushing the pace? As they are pushing the pace, as Healy's getting spit out here, Jorgensen starts coming off the back of the group. Sepp drops back for him. Now, Jorgensen in this video, he's looking just fine. The whole team's up there, like I said, Campenarts looking up good on the climb. There you go. Jorgensen starts coming off the back, as does Ben Healy. Now, what's interesting is this group off the front is only about 1:30 off the front here. The white jersey is already almost a minute behind Jorgensen, as they have 5 kilometers left to go on this climb. Ben Healy, we never see him again. A UAE on the front, Adam Yates comes up there. They slow it down. Jorgensen is able to regain. He does not look good, though. He's just kind of sitting there. Meanwhile, up front, Mike Woods is going off the front, trying to take King of the Mountain jerseys points. He does so over Storer and who else up there? Amrai is up there. About 35 kilometers or so to the finish. Remember, the last climb's out 13K. Bruno Amrai just decides he's going to just take off the front. Perfectly fine. He's only got 2 minutes over this group. This is about the extent, and I want to say this because the winner gets more of a gap between Jonas Vingegaard, that's his second place, Tadej, spoiler, I'm just going to tell you, Tadej wins, Jonas gets second, and he gets a 2+ minute gap, which is more of a gap at the finish than the break had to the main group here all day. Crazy little stat that I came up with on my own, my amazing research. So they go over the Soler. Matteo connects back on. They start hitting this little cat 3 right after. It's a descent and then boom. Matteo's coming off the back of that. He's having trouble. Sepp was like, should I come back and help? He kind of comes back and help. Matteo actually does connect up to, which does Remco and Evenepoel coming into the final climb. But immediately, because then the final climb happens, you've got Wellens, who had been up in the front group. He's coming back. Tish Benoot came back as well. So you have Tish Benoot, you have Simon Yates, you have Sepp Kuss, you have Jorgensen and Jonas. That's 5 right there. But you also have Adam Yates, Tim Wellens, Jonathan Narvaez, and Tadej. That's 4 right there. But as soon as Wellens starts hitting the front, going right before the part of the climb, Evenepoel pops out, Jorgensen gets jettisoned, Tish Benoot's gone, Simon Yates is gone, and suddenly it's Sepp Kuss barely there with Jonas. So immediately, look at this, 12 kilometers to go, Adam goes to the front, he can't do much, Jonathan Narvaez hits the front really hard, and you've got Tadej on here. This is 12 kilometers. You've got basically one rider up the front, Bruno Amrai, and you've got Jonas sitting here. Now, some of this composition of this riders, Lipowitz, Roglic, Johannesson, Tobias Johannesson, Sepp Kuss, Jonas, Tadej, Narvaez, Adam Yates. Adam Yates, though, is done. We'll talk about a few of these other riders as we come into it. Immediately, Oscar Onley. You can see here, Sepp Kuss is not in the mix. Now, I will just Sepp rode pretty good today. Okay, he got on the front there on the Soler. He got on the Cat 3. He had to go back to get Jorgensen. He was doing that kind of work. He was doing what he needed to do. But with Jorgensen being a chink out on his chain, basically his physical chain today, it put a weird situation because you didn't have that extra rider. And then one of the riders that they did, Simon Yates, had to go on the front earlier. But why are they on the front? That should never have been their plan here in general. I just think it's outdated for how Tadej has been riding. You save, I think the idea should be you're saving your riders for all these last things. So when you hit a climb like now, there's no one here for, Narvaez hits it. Jonas is trying to hang on. There's Lipowitz and Roglic, Oscar Onley, Tobias Johannesson behind him. And these guys are, Jorgensen's already 40 seconds behind. Remco's 22 seconds behind. And Jonas has nobody with him. Now, up the front, they're only, 54 seconds off to Amre with 12 kilometers to go. Jonathan Narvaez continues to drill at the front. He's going, and then he's going to peel off here. I mean, he peels off, and immediately Tadej seated drops Jonas. Jonas does the head turn. Let's see if we can get here. No, Jonas does click back up to him, but he does to do the head turn. There's no one there. Sadly, his whole team has been digging themselves out of a hole all day long to try to do it. 11.8 kilometers to go. It was like 5 or 6. There you go. There's another head turn from behind for Jonas. No one's there to help you. I'm sorry. You blew your team up early. You decided on the first, 60 kilometers to go. It was important for you guys to really wear Tadej down and then blow you self-emulated. That's what happened. You self-emulated today, and it's a sad sight because I really wanted more of a race in this. Jonas, 10 seconds, 6 seconds, 9 seconds, looked like he maybe was going to hold it in, but he just never was able to do it. 5.1 kilometers to go here. You had seen Roglic hanging out with Only and Lipowitz. Finally, I guess Lipowitz got the call, or he just was so disgusted by Roglic. Roglic is wearing ankle socks. It was like the triathletes had infected the race. It was, I'm like, what's going on here? It's ugly. Okay, let's just not do that anymore, people. We don't need any triathletes doing the Tour de France. But Lipowitz just kind of like fires away, and I think he just got the green light. And as you're going to see coming up here, what his overall time was, he ends up putting in a really good time, and it makes you wonder. Hope you didn't hold back at all today. Helping Roglic, you could have done a little bit better. Only tries to go up there with him. Meanwhile, Remco is slowly just kind of coming into his own, fighting with a few people on the side of the road. The gap goes out to a minute. It goes out further. Jonas comes into the last here, but Tadej comes over the line, 4:21.19 with the win, and it's 2:10 to the finish to Jonas for second place. Once again, I didn't see the gap from the main contenders to the lead on the road today over 2 minutes. And yet that is what Tadej puts on. So the lead, the biggest gap of the day is the one at the finish line. That's what's crazy. Okay. Anyway, Lipowitz comes in. A few other riders come in here. We'll go over the results actually right now to see what we had there. Let's go to the results. Tadej over Jonas by 2:10, 2:23 to Lipowitz. So he really was trying to kind of closing down there. Tobias Johannesson, 3 minutes over Oscar Only, outsprinted him there. Kevin Vauquelin actually had a good day today, 3:33. He was getting towed up actually by Remco and then outsprinted him at the line. Felix Gall, 4:02. Roglic, 4:08. So he loses from Florian Lipowitz, in the last 6 kilometers, almost 2 minutes, about a minute and a half or so. Christian Rodriguez for Arkea, 7:26. 11th place, Einar Rubio. Raul Garcia and Guillaume Martin. Sergio Higuita at 14th and 15th place. Our buddy Matteo Jorgensen, 10:25. Loses a ton there. He's off the GC. Ben O'Connor, 10:43. We come down here to Sepp Kuss, just kind of rolled it in, 13:30. I think, once he figured out his day is done, no use continue to still ride. Mateo Schilmos at 15:23. Remember, he was a guy off in the front for most of the day there. Ben Healy, the yellow jersey, loses 13:38. A little bit of a time there. Enric Mas, bad day, loses 16. Michael Storer, he was up there in the break. Let's see if there's any other GC riders. We'll go to the GC. Pogacar now 3:31 over Vingegaard, 4:45 over Remco. Lipowitz moving up there. That yellow, the white jersey is starting to look interesting in third place. 5:34. Actually, I don't know if Lipowitz in the white. Kevin Vauquelin, 5:40. Only 6:05. Roglic at 7:30. Johannesson moves up 2 spots to 8th at 7:44. Felix Gall up 2 as well to 9:21. But Matteo, he drops 5 places down to 12:12 into 10th place. Ben Healy drops 10 smacks. The yellow jersey down into 11th place from 1st to 11th. Carlos Rodriguez, who was up in the break, had fine grand visions of grandeur, but he's 17:56, losing about 12 minutes on the day. Enric Mas has dropped out. Schilmos goes from about 10 minutes to 27 minutes out. Sepp Kuss, who had 33 on 21st place. So, you know, Sivakov, by the way, another UAE rider, didn't have a good day, maybe just as bad as yesterday. So who knows what his situation is. Did we have any penalties? Yeah, Team Jayco Alula, breach of regulations or guidelines concerning vehicle movements during the race, failure to comply with instructions, yellow card for them. Interesting. Red Bull, failure to respect the instructions. Team Total Energies, failure to obey the instructions. Jordan Jagat, pushing off against a car, motorcycle, or rider. Repeated or extended pushes from spectators. Dude, 10-second penalty and 15 points. And EF Education, irregular feeding sticky bottle for a short distance. That might have been a Ben Healy issue. We'll forgive them for that on the day. Okay, so here's the climbing times we wanted to get to. Now, remember, Tadej took off from the bottom. Okay, it was really hot today. We'll talk a little bit about what happened to some of the riders. I actually know, but Tadej puts on the second best climbing time ever, 35:08. That's almost the whole thing solo. That's pretty impressive. 34:40 once again is still Bjarne Riis. Jonas is down here for his 2022 time at 36:34. Any others in the modern era? And when I say modern, I mean like very recent. These are all late 90s. That should say something about this climb. Now, Tadej is, like I said, maybe one of the all-time greats. But that's some crazy numbers here. Did I have any? I had some other. Here's a video of Tadej attacking. Let's take a look at this. See if we can show this a little bit here. Look at him going up that climb. Jonas is barely there. There's Narvaez. This is right after the attack. Cray. So he's going full bore. Let's take a. There is the look of Roglic's socks. He said it's hot. That's why he wore that. Or maybe he thinks it's arrow. It's ugly. That's what it is. It's ugly. I hope we don't see any more repeats of that. So what's the crazy part is that was what the race we had today. But here's what we have tomorrow. We have a time trial, and here is the last 7 kilometers of this thing. This profile. It's got some nasty sections in it. 8.1 kilometers for that climb. Total of 10.9 kilometers. I mean, this is shorter than what we had today. So it'll be interesting to see what Tadej does. I mean, he's probably gonna have back-to-back wins. I can't imagine anything less than that. So that will be a frightening. Now, the questions always continue until the race is all done. Even then, riders are going to have questions about stuff. But we're talking about how the things are evolving and unraveling. And a big question you have today is what happened to Jorgensen? Now, maybe it's the heat. I mean, it's this redhead guy. Maybe he can't handle the heat too well. Last year's tour didn't seem as hot to me. There were a little bit more cool days. He wins Paris-Nice 2 times, and that's a race that it's kind of in the cool. It's definitely not, a hot race. So maybe there's an issue with this, with him. He's got to get that straight. I mean, I think I just watched guys dumping water. I just went for a ride and it was blistering hot out here and that was painful. So I understand it. Now, personally, I ride better than most people in the heat. So I've always been able to kind of to do well in that. But for some people really suffer. And then you come off of, all these short things and it's your first long mountain day. I don't know. I'm hoping that Jorgensen rebounds, and maybe this is a good thing that he's lost a bunch of time. One, get your mind not on your own GC prospects. If you still hang in the top 10, fine. But you may be able to take a stage win now, right? Be able to. Last year we saw him. I think it was stage. I want to say like 19. He got up in the break and he gets beat like right at the line, 20 seconds. Last kilometer there by Tadej who attacked and destroyed all hopes for him. Maybe that's why there's bad blood between those two. I don't know. Either way, it'll be good to see that. But it's like, okay, Sepp, maybe the team is going to ride a little bit better, right? And I mean better of like, quit acting like you have an unlimited amount of bullets and you're just firing. It's like Cinco de Mayo and you're blowing shit up in the air rather than like, hitting your targets. Let's go with what you want and stop just acting like you have unlimited resources here. Because today you got worked. Matter of fact, during the stage at one point, you had numbers, but those numbers were very thin. As Sepp Kuss was telling Kaylee Fretz of the Escape Collective, Today's a day you can't hide, right? It's a moment of truth out there. You know, sometimes your form, maybe you can shadow it with your tactics and do a little. Today was not a day that you can do that. So tomorrow will be. So anyway, this is what we have tomorrow. And what's tomorrow? Friday. Then we have Saturday up Super Banier. So Tata can get 3 stage races in a row, wins in a row. And then at least Sunday, there's a little reprieve for this one. I don't think it's going to be one for the sprinters, but it should be a breakaway day. And then you have, this is fantastic. Then you have a rest day, and then you have Mont Ventoux. And then, you know, you're in the final week, and you have a little bit of a transition, but then you have Col de la Loze. It's literally like climb, time trial, you know, a little bit down, boom, up, boom, up. It's a crazy little finish we had here. And so a lot can still happen. We're still up in the air as to who's going to win this thing. Are we? I'm hoping. You got to hope that these things are still kind of up in the air. Otherwise, what are you going to do? Slit your throat or something. Okay, that's enough for tonight. It's a good 30-minute podcast for everybody. Like and subscribe. Don't forget to share the show. We're coming back tomorrow with stage 13. Where do we say it's going tomorrow? Individual time trial up to Paraguay. So there you go. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Victor, for coming in. Anybody else as well? See you tomorrow. Same time, same place, but maybe not the same time. Maybe a little earlier in the day. See you.